Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, my name is Chuck. I make videos for NBA. All these videos, they get posted on the subreddit right here called DF Sports, where I make updates with all the news that comes out throughout the day. You can ask me questions about the slate. Pretty much anything you need, I'll have this link down below. People Talk Strategy here. Really good place to be. And if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can get a hold of me on Twitter right here. All right, so, and if you're looking for more in-depth content, I'll have my Discord link down below where I give you guys, prize picks content, sportsbook content, DFS, night slate, showdown, main slate, course for all that, videos for all that. That'll be linked down below. So, if you guys thought that yesterday could not get any worse, I'm not even going to go over my lineup, but today I play Yaka Pirtle injured at halftime. Yesterday, this is the fourth straight day in a row with injuries. It couldn't get any worse, right? Can't get any worse, but I'm over it. Let's get into this slate. I'm not even going to show my lineup. Core did great. Core today was Emmanuel Quickley. What was the core today? Emmanuel Quickley, Darius Garland, Mitchich, and Grant Williams was the core today. So the core smashed. I just played Pirtle, and I stone bubbled with Pirtle. Stone bubbled with him. So yeah, cash line was 288. I had 285 with Pirtle. So yeah, just hopefully tomorrow I can avoid injuries, and it'll be a good night. Hopefully. So let's get into the slate. So, Jaren Jackson Jr. doubtful. Zaire Williams out. Scottie Pippen Jr. out. Brandon Clark out. One thing I do want to note here is Trey Jameson was inactive. That's pretty important. Keep an eye on the inactives list if Trey Jameson is going to be out here once again. But the big one, obviously, is Zaire Williams. We'll see what they do with the starting lineup. They could just throw Luke Kennard in there. They could throw Conchar in there. I think those would be the two candidates that they throw into the starting lineup with Zaire Williams out. Don't mind the spot here going up against Brooklyn's. We know what to do. We know Vince Williams. He's very, very safe. He's going to play the entire game. He's a stat sheet stuffer. He's very, very safe at that price point. I don't mind him at all. Now, Santi Aldama, if Trey Jameson is inactive once again, I really like it. $6,000. He played a ton last game. He's going to get back on 5 run 2 if Jameson's out. So Aldama is the one that I like quite a bit, especially if Jameson is inactive. And then Goodwin, he started last game. Assuming he starts again, I think it's a solid play. Like him quite a bit. With Zaire out, his minutes should be a bit more secure. G.G. Jackson should play a bit more off the bench. We know he's a really high ceiling guy. He played 31 minutes last game. He did play overtime as well, but he has a high ceiling. Intriguing for GPPs. Lamar Stevens started the 5 last game. If he starts again, I like him. They're just going to have less bodies. Was a bit disappointed with his minutes last game. Then we'll monitor who moves into the starting lineup. But Conchar, Luke Kennard, these two guys, they're going to get a bit more run. If Kennard starts, I really like him for value. If they start Conchar, he's a solid value. And then whoever comes off the bench will be a playable value. So, yeah, Memphis with Zaire out definitely looks like a pretty decent team to target. And then, like I said, keep an eye on the Trey Jameson. If he's going to be active, inactive, that good stuff. Because that definitely does impact guys like Aldama, Lamar Stevens, etc. Moving on to Brooklyn, so the big one here is Ben Simmons, assuming he continues to be out. They've been going with a starting lineup of Dennis Schroeder, Nick Claxton, Mikal Bridges, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Cameron Johnson. So with that being said, if Ben Simmons is out, I still think there's a good amount to like here. It's a really good spot here going up against Memphis. Mikal, he's been on fire of late. He's also playing huge minutes. He's doing everything for this team. I know he's been bad except for the past 2 games, but I like him quite a bit at 7.6K. I think he's a really solid play in the mid-range. Claxton at 7.6, he should be able to feast on this front court. I like his ceiling quite a bit for tournaments. What else? Dennis Schroeder, he should play over 30 minutes. I still think he's a bit too cheap. I think he's a very decent option. Cam Johnson, I think is very decent as well at 5.8K. I still think he's a little bit, I wouldn't say too cheap, probably a bit priced right now, but I think 5.8, I think 6.1K for Cameron Johnson is a reasonable price point. He's probably going to be really popular tomorrow. I think he should be. I still think he's a really, really good play at 5.8K, assuming Ben Simmons does sit. And then Dorian Finney-Smith, going to play big minutes. I don't mind him for value. I think he's okay for value. I don't know if I go to anyone off the bench. I think we'll just have, we're probably going to have so much better value open up. There's already, a decent amount of value on this slate. Moving on to Portland, so just tough to say right now. Jeremy Grant, he's doubtful. DeAndre Ayton, he's questionable. That's a big one. Matisse Thybulle, he's questionable. What I can say is if all these guys are out, we're going to have to see what they do with the starting lineup. They can do a number of things. They could throw, I think Ban started the second half for Jeremy Grant, but they could start like a Jabari Walker. So we know we're going to get Simons, probably going to get Reith, probably going to get Kamara. So what, that's Simons, Reith, Kamara, that's 3. Chris Murray, that's 4. So like they could do a number of things. Like I said, Banton, I believe, started the second half for Grant last game. He didn't really play much, but they could throw like Jabari Walker in the starting lineup, especially up against a bigger team in Minnesota. So if all these guys are out, first off, it's not a good matchup here, but Simons, he's going to lead the way offensively. He's going to play huge minutes. He's going to have the entire team to himself. Even in a bad matchup, I think it's a really, really good play. So I like Simons a ton. Drop Reith is a solid value at 5.1K. Still tough matchup, but he's probably going to have to play a decent amount. Kamara, very, very safe at 5K. Jabari Walker's the guy I'm very, very intrigued by. If he starts, I really like him. Even if he comes off the bench, they might need him out there a ton, especially if all these guys are out. Chris Murray, he's going to play huge minutes. Very, very safe. Not the best point per minute guy, but she'll play huge minutes. And then Ashton Higgins, I would assume would have to play a bit more. I actually do like him for value of $4,000 if all these guys are out. And then Ben is playable. Keep an eye on the starting lineup. Now, if we get, Ayton in, it kind of takes me off the bigs. Kamara would still be playable. The bigs, like I said, Chris Murray becomes a bit worse. Simons I would still really like, but it would kind of take me off a lot of this value here. But yeah, Portland definitely a team we're probably going to have some value for tomorrow. Moving on to Minnesota. So if you think this game stays competitive, I think the main guys look really, really good here. Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert. If this game stays competitive, these guys are going to absolutely feast, especially the bigs. Bigs up against Portland have been absolutely shattering, especially if DeAndre Ayton's out. I mean, it's such a good spot here for Cat, such a good spot here for Rudy Gobert, especially with Jeremy Grant not doubtful as well. Anthony Edwards in a good spot. Like, I really like all three of these main guys if you think this game stays competitive. If you are playing Simons, maybe, you play like an Ant or a Cat or Rudy Gobert. But I think all three of them look really, really good if you're playing for a competitive game here. Now, we do have Kyle Anderson back. That's going to hurt, guys like Naz Reid. I think Naz Reid is priced right. If you are playing for a blowout, something you could do, I guess, playing for a blowout. Naz Reid will get some run in a blowout. I'm pretty sure NAW will get run in a blowout, but he's 4.6K. But my main interest here is definitely, Ant, Cat, Rudy Gobert. If you're playing for a close game, I think look really, really good. They should be able to smash in this spot. Rudy Gobert especially. So I really like those guys if you think this stays close. Don't know if I get to much else here, though. I think Mike Conley's priced right. NAW is overpriced. Kyle Anderson, no thank you. McDaniels, fair value, but I think we'll have better value opening up later. And yeah, let's move on to the Clippers. Westbrook's out. Probably going to see like Bones Highland in the rotation. He's firmly in play for GPPs. Bones Highland's a good point per minute guy. He just had a floor outcome last game. You give him 15 minutes again, sure, in a large field setting, he's firmly in play. They kind of went to more Daniel Tice last game. I'm not too sure what that was about, if Zubac is on a limit or not. Because I know he was injured, came back. I think he missed a game. Not entirely sure, so keep an eye on that. Going up against the Bucks, I mean, Zubac, Tice, I don't know if I prioritize any of them. But yeah, Zubac just didn't play much. I don't understand that. James Harden's in a pretty good spot, but like when everyone's healthy, this team just kind of looks similar to me. But with no Russell Westbrook, Harden should pretty much play all the minutes he can handle. So he'd probably be my favorite of the main Clippers guys. And then yeah, I did mention Bones Highland. Firmly in play for large field tournaments. You're probably going to see a bit more coffee as well, but I'm not going to go there. And then I think that's it. And I don't think I go to anyone else here. Pretty unappealing. Yeah. Moving on to Milwaukee. So Giannis is questionable. If Giannis is in, Giannis is fine. Dame going up against the Clippers, no thank you. Brook Lopez in a tough spot. I think there's definitely some better center plays. Don't like much. This team would be probably one of my least favorite teams to target on this slate going up against the Clippers. If Giannis is out, that changes a lot though. Then I love Dame. Then I really like Bobby Portis. Then Jay Crowder would be a decent value. Pat Connaughton to be firmly in play. What else? Brook Lopez is fine, but I probably prefer Bobby Portis. And like I said, Damian Lillard would look really, really good. One of the better spend ups on D slate, but once again, really, really tough spot. Moving on to Washington. So they got their doors blown out last game by the Clippers. Kind of expected that. But Landry Shamet has been starting. Jordan Poole's been coming off of the bench. And has Cole Bally been back? Okay, this is his first game back as well. Pretty sure Cole Bally's been starting until he went down. Let me just double check. Forgot to look at that. Or is he starting for Denny? Sorry, one sec, guys. Okay, no, yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. He was starting until he got hurt, and Landry Shamet was starting. So I mean, still, I'm not going to prioritize either. Like, Cool Bally will be in play, and if you're playing for a blowout, we'll play some of the blowout anyway. But Cool Bally being back, it's going to hurt Kispert, it's going to hurt Shamet. I'm not going to prioritize any of them. If Cool Bally starts, sure, you can go there for value. Really good spot here, though. I think Kuzma looks really solid in the mid-range, kind of like pretty similar to like a Mikal Bridges to me. I think those two grade out, very, very similar. Going to play close to 40 minutes in a competitive game. Going to lead this team in usage. It's a really good spot going up against Utah. So I do like Kyle Kuzma quite a bit. I think Bagley is in a pretty good spot as well. I don't mind him at 6.1K. And then, Tyus, Denny, they're both solid. Prefer Tyus to Denny. And then, if you want to play Jordan Poole off the bench, I don't hate it. He's been playing extremely well off the bench. And then kind of went over the value there. Moving on to Utah, probably one of my more favorite teams to target on this slate. Walker Kessler and Markkanen are going to be out for this game. We'll see who they start. They could start like a Sensabaugh. So we'll keep an eye on that. But I think the main top four guys here look really, really good, especially John Collins. I think John Collins is one of the best plays in the mid-range. No Walker Kessler, no Markkanen. He should play all the minutes he can handle in one of the best matchups you could possibly get. I really like John Collins. Keontae George, no Markkanen, but the highest usage player out. Should play huge minutes. I really like him at 6.3K. Sexton, Clarkson both look very solid. Prefer Clarkson at that price point. What else? Hendricks should play a ton of minutes. I think he's a solid value. And then keep an eye on who to start. They start like a Sensabaugh, that's fine. Your 7 should be in the rotation with no Walker Kessler. He's firmly in play. He's a really, really good point per minute guy. You give him like 15 minutes, he could smash. This is basically a floor outcome for the minutes he got last game. Really good spot as well. So you're at 7, firmly in play. What else? And then keep an eye on the starting lineup. I think Sensabaugh, they could do whatever. It's Utah. They could THT will probably play a bit more, but they could do a number of things. So there's like 4 different lineup combinations I could see them going with here. It's Utah. Moving on to Chicago. Crusoe's questionable. Keep an eye on that. Doesn't really change too much for me. Craig's going to continue to be out. I think, in this spot, I think DeMar DeRozan's probably my favorite of the main 3, but when everyone's healthy, you guys know the drill. They all eat into the usage. I think they're getting to the price points where I'm not going to prioritize anyway. I think they're solid plays. I think DeMar DeRozan especially is probably my favorite at 7.7K. But, Vooch is fine. Cubby White's fine. I think DeMar DeRozan is definitely a solid play. Probably my favorite of the group. Ayo, we know, is going to play a ton of minutes, especially if Alex Caruso's out. He's very, very safe just because the amount of minutes he's going to play. And then, I don't know if I get to much else. Drummond's priced right. Caruso's fine. I think I prefer Ayo. I don't know if I get too much else here, though. If Caruso's out, I'll make updates on Reddit. All right, moving on to so De'Aaron Fox has been full participant in practice and just been ruled out every single game. I don't understand what's going on there, but we'll see if he plays. If he plays, I think Sabonis is a good spend up. I think Fox is okay. Then Monk would be priced right. The wings would be priced right. There wouldn't be too much here that I like. If Fox is out, that does change. They did start Keon Ellis last game. He got into foul trouble, but if he starts again, I don't mind him for value. I think it's solid. Not going to play Davion. He benefited from Keon Ellis getting into foul trouble. And then I like Malik Monk, Keegan Murray quite a bit, and Kevin Huerter for value at 4.9K as well. Their minutes become much, much more secure with Fox out. So, yeah, Monk going to be a primary playmaker off the bench. I would expect over 30 minutes from here. This is the type of ceiling he has. Even at this price point, I still think he'd be solid. Keegan Murray going to have to play a lot more. And like I said, Kevin Huerter would be a solid value. And Harrison Barnes would have to play a lot. I mean, he'd be playable, but he's horrible. So, yeah, keep an eye on that. Moving on to OKC. So, it's a back-to-back for tonight, but it's a really good spot. I don't know how you don't absolutely love SGA going up against the Lakers. I mean, Garz just absolutely cooked the Lakers, so I don't know how you don't really like SGA. One of the probably the best spend up on the slate, in my opinion, if you are spending up all the way up at the top. So I really like SGA here. I think Chet's fine. I think Jalen's very, very safe at 7.3K. How many minutes he finished with tonight? I want to say he played a decent amount. 33 minutes. He got in the foul trouble too. He was on pace for a bit more. I think I prefer Jalen Williams to Chet Holmgren, especially at those price points. Giddey should play low 20s minutes. He's just there for me. Dortch priced right. Casey Wallace, no thank you. Aaron Wiggins had a big game tonight. Needed Dart, but that's more large field tournament stuff. All right, moving on to the Lakers, last team of the night. Not a good spot here going up against the OKC Thunder, but 80's fine at 10.1K. I think he's priced right, but it's a good matchup. I think people are going to overlook the matchup here. He should be able to feast on the glass. Like you could see, Nurkic. See what Nurkic did tonight? He just absolutely nuked. So I think Anthony Davis is one of the better spend-ups on the slate. I think if I had to rank them, probably like SGA 1, 82, and then Giannis, those type of guys. I think SGA, Anthony Davis are probably your two of the better spend-ups on the slate. That Nurkic game was absolutely crazy. He should be able to feast here. So yeah, really like AD up at the top. Definitely prefer SGA, but if you don't want to go to SGA, I think AD is very, very good. LeBron's fine, but I always prefer Anthony Davis, and then everyone else just priced right with those two in. Fully expect those two guys to play as well. Don't love much else. If you want to go to D'Lo, that's fine. Reeves, that's fine. They do have ceilings, but in my one lineup, I'm definitely not going to prioritize either of them. So that's going to wrap it up for the slate. Hope you guys had a good night. Hopefully you avoided some injuries, and I will talk to you all in the next video.